The fate-married businesswoman wed a handsome young man a full decade, her junior. Initially thought they'd spend the rest of their lives, but years of sweetness vanished in an instant. The young husband grew tired of the golden spoon life, secretly sought a new lover, even hardened his heart, quietly tempered with the red wine. When he personally handed her the specially prepared glass of wine, the woman remained expressionless, yet a puzzling smile appeared at the corner of her lips. Downed the wine in one gulp without hesitation. The guy finally got his wish. The Queen of Wealth agreed on the spot. Heaven's will hadn't cooled down yet. She barely squeezed out 2 indifferent tears inside. She was bursting with joy. Ruined the act with a laugh. She faked grief through the funeral formalities. Then, without delay, rushed into his new girlfriend's arms. They were deep in affection with... Suddenly, his phone rang with shocking news. The woman he had personally sent off had vanished into thin air, not stolen, but completely disappeared. Seems like she never died. This is a remake of a Spanish film. Let's dive into this revenge thriller, full of surprises and heart-pounding twists. The wealthy widow who built her pharmaceutical empire from scratch. With a net worth of billions and a reputation for decisiveness, she is also a career-driven powerhouse. Her husband is a courteous university professor, refined and elegant, the epitome of an intellectual gentleman. Together they seem perfectly matched in every way. But beneath their glamorous facade hide disgusting schemes. In their marriage, she dominates with iron fist. She has absolute authority over every... And the husband was like a canary trapped in this gilded cage. Not even a shred of dignity left. She endured 5 years until finally getting her chance. A candlelit dinner. She raised the glass of spiked red wine from the table. Watching the wealthy woman drink it without hesitation, she couldn't contain her excitement inside. The husband knew the poison was odorless and tasteless. Within 8 hours, the effects would kick in. Victims would be paralyzed completely. Cardiac arrest. Death appeared to be from a heart attack. No traces could be found at all. Flawless execution. The husband struggled to suppress a smile at the funeral. Pretended to be a grieving widow. Had barely said goodbye to guests. Rushed into her new lover's arms. She thought everything had settled down. Wide open sky. Finally free. But fate had other plans. The police station's call sent chills down her spine, saying there was trouble at the morgue. Someone had attacked the guard on duty. Even eerier was the wealthy woman's body had mysteriously vanished. The man's legs went weak, hands trembling so badly he could barely light. She rushed to the police station to assist in the investigation. Guilty as hell, but forcing herself to stay composed. Yelling at the detectives for their negligence. Turns out the detective wasn't just for show. Straightforwardly stated the body wasn't stolen, but feared post-autopsy video evidence. The atmosphere grew tense. When the coroner suddenly proposed another theory, the wealthy woman might not be dead at all, just mistakenly took a drug that causes full body rigidity, mimicking death. Waiting for the effects to... The socialite wakes up realizing someone tried to kill her, so he fled overnight. The husband was startled, cold sweat instantly drenching his back. If this were truly the case, then she would undoubtedly be the prime suspect of heinous crimes. Then something even stranger occurred. The morgue suddenly lost power. The cabinet door storing the wealthy woman's corpse automatically swung open. Inside lay the very bottle of lethal poison she had hidden. She recognized it instantly, panic overwhelming her husband. Attempting to secretly stash the poison in her pants, the sharp-eyed detective caught her red-handed on the spot. The detective confiscated the poison without hesitation, and immediately announced compulsory measures against her. The terrifying part was that once this drug was detected, she had no way to defend herself against the man. Detained in the police station's cold metal chair. Just then she suddenly noticed the digital clock in the interrogation room was displaying an incorrect date. That date was known only to her and the wealthy woman. It was the inscription engraved on their wedding rings as a keepsake. At this moment, she completely panicked. Seizing the opportunity, the man excused himself sneaked into the storage room in secret, and called his lawyer. She wanted to ask for help, but just as she picked up the phone before dialing, she spotted a familiar wine glass prominently placed on the windowsill. And in the reflection of the glass door, the wealthy woman's figure unexpectedly appeared. At this moment, she finally realized the wealthy woman was never dead. The wealthy woman had long discovered her betrayal. She even created a new flavor as a backup plan for herself. She had already injected the antidote before drinking the poison wine, staged a fake death scene, then secretly evacuated, leaving everything perfectly arranged without any loophole. The wealthy woman deliberately let the man lower his guard, then LAD'd him step by step to expose himself, shattered the painstakingly woven lies she had created. Now the poison appearing in the morgue cabinet serves as the final irrefutable evidence against a vial of colorless, odorless, undetectable poison, stuffed into the place she feared most to be discovered, within Tang Er Huang's territory. This completely broke down the man. She originally thought she had everything under control, but turned out to be just a jester in the chess game. The loser on the chessboard was the wealthy woman all along. She didn't make a scene or tear the relationship apart, not even uttering a single accusation. Instead, she staged a fake death, flawlessly executing the ultimate revenge against the betrayer. The wealthy woman will make the man suffer public disgrace, ruin his reputation, even framing her for murder. A lifetime to clear her name. That night, the man followed the detective to the morgue, ready to identify the body. A cold, sterile body bag suddenly rang with a phone tone, sharp and jarring. Her heart pounded like thunder, trembling violently. She reached into the bag. As she pulled the phone from the bag, his face turned pale with shock. The caller turned out to be his deceased wealthy wife. The moment the call connected, the other party hung up without hesitation, summoning courage. The man unzipped the bag, only to find it wasn't his wife lying inside, but a complete stranger, an elderly man he'd never met. Just then, his phone screen lit up. A text message abruptly appeared. Its contents pointed to a long-buried secret between her and the wealthy woman. On a winter night 11 years ago, on their way home, they hit and killed a pedestrian. The wealthy woman disposed of the body without batting an eye. She personally directed the man to bury the body in the woods. From that day on, the man relived the scene in his dreams every night. Guilt coiled around him like a venomous snake. But she thought as long as the wealthy woman died, this secret would be buried in the dirt forever. Yet now, not only has the body vanished, but the secret has also been exposed. The man nearly collapsed, and soon the detective came for him again. But this time, it brought a private agreement from the wealthy woman. It is clearly written there that if a man betrays, don't expect to get a single penny from the rich widow's inheritance. Instead, you'll be branded with infamy and ruin. She has always been confident in her meticulous plans, thinking they're flawless. But the truth is, all the secrets between the man and his new lover have been captured clearly by the private detective. Photos are thrown in front of her one by one. Each one feels like a knife twisting in her heart. The detective sneers, saying she is just being too clever. Little does she know, the chessboard has long been set up by us. The man couldn't withstand the impact any longer, burst out the door and vomited violently, as if trying to purge all his sins, but fate gave her no chance to catch her breath. Another text message followed closely behind. This time it was a photo of her with the new lover. The girl in the photo had clear eyes and a pure smile, forming a stark contrast with the sugar mommy's gloom. But there was no time to dwell on it. Immediately called up his new flame, he incoherently urged her to flee. The new lover also felt uneasy after receiving the call. She turned and walked into the living room, only to find the balcony door wide open. Terrified, she rushed to the front door, but found it locked from the outside. The doorknob wouldn't even budge. Just then, the man received another text message, with exactly the same content as the previous one. Meet at their secret place. At this moment, the man suddenly understood. The wealthy woman is using her new lover as a bargaining. She never died at all. In fact, she has been manipulating everything from the very beginning. The man could no longer sit still and shoved past several officers. He tried to rush out but was swiftly taken down by a detective's shoulder throw. Under the skeptical gazes of everyone present, the man finally completely broke down and confessed the truth he'd suppressed for years. He claimed he never truly loved the wealthy woman, though she appears to live a glamorous and carefree life. But the wealthy woman never gave her a moment's breathing room. She was merely a caged bird in the wealthy woman's cage, didn't even have the right to voice opinions. Her career plummeted after marriage. Friends gradually drifted away. Even her daily life had to be reported and approved. Not until recently did a girl burst into the man's dreary life. She was a student in the man's class, intelligent, kind, and innocent, always sticking to her with questions after class. She admires her and supports her, encouraged her to return to academia. She felt as if she had returned to the day she first stepped onto the lecture stage at 20. Someone genuinely cared about her thoughts and ideals. She began considering restarting her career, but was met with a harsh rejection from the wealthy woman. That night, she secretly resolved to end this hellish marriage. Even if the cost was death, Jinkan didn't believe her words at all. Instead, he coldly replied that the girl the man mentioned never existed at all. They investigated her residence and found no one had ever lived there. They checked the school's roster, but never found this name. All clues point to one possibility. That would be the girl she fell in love with. It might just be a hallucination, she imagined. This also led the man to doubt himself. She desperately tried to break free, but was held down tightly, could only lie on the ground repeatedly whispering incoherently. Meanwhile, the pharmaceutical company the wealthy woman ran before her death stepped in to exert pressure, claiming the police detained the man without sufficient evidence. Saying it was disrespect to the deceased, the police chief couldn't withstand the pressure and had to order her release. The moment the man broke free, he rushed out of the station like a tiger escaping captivity. She drove straight to the secret location, the forest where bodies were buried. The car sped wildly as if racing toward the end of her fate. She didn't know if the wealthy woman had truly come back to life, nor whether the new lover was real or just an illusion. All she knew was that years of pent-up emotions, betrayal, rage, love, and hatred had to be settled, even if it meant a showdown where no one could emerge victorious. This businesswoman married a handsome man a full decade younger than her. She had thought they would spend the rest of their lives together, but who could have guessed that years of sweetness would vanish in an instant? The young husband grew tired of the golden spoon. He secretly sought comfort in even going so far as to send his wealthy wife to her grave with poison. And so, the young man and her new lover finally drowned together in the end. Little did he know this was a bottomless trap. The man's new lover had come solely for revenge. It all began on a night, several years ago, when an accidental car crash planted the seeds of vengeance. The mountain road was slippery that, as the two sisters walked through, a black sedan suddenly came charging at them like a sharp blade. The elder sister was sent flying by the impact, while the younger sister tumbled down the cliff. The man driving was terrified and immediately tried to call the police, but she was stopped by the wealthy woman in the passenger seat. The wealthy woman was the CEO of a pharmaceutical company, outwardly glamorous and untouchable in daily life. But when her reputation was at stake, she could turn her back on even her clothes to avoid bringing trouble upon herself. She and the man hastily wrapped the severely injured sister in white cloth, dug a pit on the spot and buried her. Despite still breathing, they buried her alive as if she were dead. This is not just murder. It is the collapse of conscience. However, after the car accident, there was something wrong with her memory. Couldn't recall the perpetrator's face, no matter how hard. As if swallowed by the world. No trace of her older sister. This tragedy has weighed on the man's heart for over a decade. Every night, she dreams of returning to those woods, woken up countless times by guilt and terror. But, as a wealthy woman, she seems to have long forgotten those past events, continuing to indulge in the extravagant life of the wealthy. Yet now, a baffling case about a missing corpse has dragged the man back into the mire once more. She thought the wealthy woman had risen from the dead, only to discover a carefully laid trap in the mire. Following the text's instructions, the man arrived at the woods where the body was buried, determined to rescue his newest love, the one he cared for. But as she trekked through the jungle, what awaited her wasn't the wealthy woman's figure. Instead, it was the cold beam of light from Jing Tan's flash. Jing Tan didn't say much. He simply handed over a yellowed photograph. That was her engagement photo with her fiancé. It turned out that the older sister who was hit and killed over a decade was actually her fiancé, and the younger sister who narrowly survived back then is now the college girl doted on by men. Their goal has always been solely the truth. The younger sister survived, though, but the death of her sister remained an unhealed scar in her heart. Until one day, she accidentally saw in a magazine the logo on a pharmaceutical company's advertisement. In an instant, memories flooded back like a raging torrent. She immediately found the fragments of truth Jingtan had told her. And Jingtan didn't just sit idly by either. She quietly investigated and discovered that the wealthy woman and the man were the perpetrators from back then. But the wealthy woman had powerful connections. Their connections were deeply intertwined, trying to get justice through the proper channels. Pure fantasy. She planned a revenge plot. From disposing of the body to spreading false information, then exposing the truth, each step trampling on their heart. But the cruelest step in this revenge wasn't the exposure, nor was it the but making the enemy fall in love with the enemy. The girl pretends to be an innocent student. Gentle and caring, she stood by his side through his darkest days. She thought she had found her soulmate, but never knew behind those gentle eyes harbored a deep hatred. The man poisoned his wealthy wife with his own hands, believing he was finally free, unknowingly playing right into her trap. She secretly added a deadly ingredient to the red wine, returning the same poison to her. In his final moments, the man realized all his scheming had led him to die because of love. She fainted and woke up handcuffed. Meanwhile, the long-dead wealthy woman lay quietly in a nearby pit. The detective retrieved the corpse from the trunk, fulfilling his long wish to find his fiancée's true resting place. Though the man obtained a temporary antidote at the last moment, his future was already completely ruined, while the detective left with the girl putting the sinful past behind them. Yet no trace of triumph showed on their faces, only profound sorrow and melancholy remained. Though vengeance was brutal, but the departed can never return. This vengeance left them all spiritually dead. Looking back at the entire story, what we see isn't just evil combating evil, but a profound trial of human nature. The wealthy woman had power and money, but no moral compass. Willing to kill to protect her own interests, she controlled a man's life in the name of love, reducing him to a dignity-stripped puppet, only to be poisoned in the end by the one she trusted most. This is not the price of love, but the retribution. The wealthy woman's husband was once an idealistic, promising university professor, yet he sold his soul to her for money and comfort. He failed to save the girl 10 years ago, and now takes another woman's life with his own hands. He tries to escape his past, unaware that fate has already set an inescapable trap. While the younger sister appears fragile, in truth, the strongest. With patience and wisdom, Echi reclaimed every life debt owed down to the last drop. She chose neither blade nor gun, but wove trust and emotion into a silent trap of vengeance, ruthless yet righteous. In the end, this seemingly insignificant detective had been searching alone in the darkness for years. Ultimately, justice was served in his own way. What truly moves people in this drama isn't the plot twists, but rather its profound examination of human. Some say love can either save or destroy a person, but I believe love should never be an excuse to harm others. Nor should it become a cloak to conceal crimes. In life, we shouldn't seek only immediate comfort, while forgetting the most basic kindness and conscience. Karma may sometimes be delayed, but it never fails to arrive. The wealthy woman's fate stands as the ultimate proof. May the tragedy of this man serve as a wake-up call for those standing on the edge of a cliff. Don't confuse 侥幸 with luck, and don't bury sins in your heart, because you never know when those you've hurt will return in what form.